what is this system that we're in? You know, how did we get here?
Well, the parties, they have this saying in Canada, if you don't vote for a party, you're throwing your vote away. Well, that's nonsense. If you vote for a party, you are throwing your vote away, because the party won't represent you. They'll toe the party line, and that's all they do. They're not representing the people that put them there. So you need independent people, and that's what I've always been telling people.
And so once you've got this global corporate system in place, you have to figure out how to control the people that live within it. And what they're doing, that's where it's all leading down the path of genetic modification.
Well, it's just common sense, that's all it is, Piggy. You know, let people that are smart run the planet. You know, like you take this think tank. I always said all countries should be run by think tanks. Like here in Croatia, 2 of the best in fishery, 2 of the best in farming, 2 of the best in medicine. Put them in a think tank, everything done, open book policy to the public, nothing hidden. Then all the decisions are made, they run the country, and they run it rationally. You know, no more corruption. As long as you have governments, as long as you have parties, you're always going to have corruption, because people are viable.
Well, everything that you are, you're an electromagnetic being. Everything you experience is electromagnetic. Even the fact that you're hearing me speaking, that's your ears are picking it up, and it's an electromagnetic signal. So everything that you experience, every touch, every feeling, everything that you are, you experience electromagnetically. So therefore, you can be controlled electromagnetically. Now, they've recently done studies where they've actually injected nanoparticulates into rats, and they've hit them with a frequency, an electromagnetic frequency, and the nanoparticulates inside the rat have been programmed to switch the genes on and off on the rat. So they can literally switch genes with nanoparticulates using an electromagnetic signal. In mainstream science, they're telling you they can do this. So therefore, electromagnetically, they can control you in a physical sense using nanoparticulates. So what's in the chemtrails? You know, when you look at the chemtrails, you're finding nanoparticulates in everything. So where are they coming from? They're obviously coming from the chemtrails. What are they doing there? Why is the smart grid system being put in place? Why are they spending so much money giving away mobile phones to people? I'll give you a $900 mobile phone on a $1 plan.
Sad situation.
Revolution, baby.
Well, a peaceful revolution. A peaceful revolution. That's what we need. Yeah.
How can you do that?
Well, it's just a matter of getting the public, enough of them aware.
Planes, look the fucking food, look everything, whatever you look.
Not because they want you to have expensive technology, they want you to have the mobile phone.
Yeah.
They want you to have this. They want you exposed to this electromagnetic grid. Why are they phasing out normal light bulbs and making sure you have to use these curly bulbs? Right? They're making it mandatory that you don't even have a choice. You have to use these bulbs. So they're part of the agenda. They're part of the grid. So what are the bulbs doing? What sort of electromagnetic frequencies are they putting out? How is it being affected by the smart meters? What are they controlling? So they're putting together a control grid, an electromagnetic control grid. That's what they're putting together.
The medicine is the best way to unite people. You know, when you look at what concerns us all, like we're all concerned about food prices, oil prices, and housing.
I'm not concerned.
But what are we most concerned about? We're most concerned about our health and the health of our children. When you got an issue like this oil that actually solves all these horrible problems, that is an issue that you can unite the people with. But because it has to be of concern to everyone, and our health is of concern.
They've got all the satellite grids in place. Now they're putting the smart meters in everybody's homes. So they're putting this in place. What for? It's not there just to protect the environment from global warming. I mean,
middle class is gone now.
All that,
more or less.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, you're either rich or you're poor. One of the two.
So you'll have different sections of the population will start to change in different ways. The whole transhumanist agenda, people think that it's people getting microchips and people getting add-ons like the Borg, get an eyepiece or a helmet or something. But what if they're doing it from the inside out? What if they're genetically modifying you and merging the human race with machines, but they're doing it on a cellular level, they're doing it on a DNA level. They're doing it by getting people ingesting nanoparticulates, creating a genetic environment inside them, and then modifying them from the inside out.
It's sad what's happening. But it is fixable, you know, and if people would listen to what Max is saying, Max does have rational solutions.
Yeah, and see, when they do it on a genetic level, it's indelible. It can't be changed because it's done on the most basic of all levels. You know, it's not something you can add on or take off. They're modifying you from a cellular level, from a genetic level, through nanoparticulates, GM food, chemtrails, and EMR. That's what they're doing. Well, vaccination is important because it modifies the body. It creates genetic environments. Vaccination is a great delivery system as well for all sorts of codes that they want to spread around the world. You know, like you can look what happened in Africa with AIDS. There's no evidence to show that HIV actually causes AIDS. It would appear that 60% of the population is HIV positive. Doesn't mean anything. What happens is that they say, oh, you're HIV positive, we have to give you all these drugs, and it's the drugs that they give you to combat the HIV that kills you from all these AIDS-like symptoms. You know, it's depopulation.
Well, we get offers all the time. I mean, people want me to come to their homes, you know, and nurse their mother or their father back to health. Like, I mean, I can't. There's 7 billion people on this planet. I can't do that.
You have to do this for your...
Morgellons is people developing lesions on their bodies and they're having fibres growing out of the lesions. It's like a sore, like a cold sore or a blister. And it erupts and you have very fine fibres, looks like fiberglass growing out. And when you get them and put them under a microscope, they appear to be nanoparticulates. They appear to be nanoparticles.
Not natural.
Nanofibers that are being created. And what it would appear, I mean, you're getting these samples. What we're finding is that we can take tissue from people who don't exhibit symptoms of Morgellons, and we can take those tissue samples and put them in a petri dish, and we can grow Morgellons type fibres out of the tissue samples of normal people that don't display any symptoms of Morgellons. So it would appear that these nanomachines, where they are in everybody, in everything, and that people who are developing the lesions and developing Morgellons syndrome are people whose bodies are rejecting the fibers.
Yeah. It's up to everybody to defend for themselves. I'm just trying to get the world awakened, and that's what Max is doing the same thing.
The Morgellons is warning us that something is not right. And many people, because we can grow these fibres out of people who don't display symptoms, indicates that these fibres are in everybody, and that Morgellons are those who are rejecting the fibres. So that's what it appears to be. You can go to the doctors and they'll tell you Morgellons is a psychological disorder.
Yeah, but can you cure it with?
You've got sores growing in your body with hairs growing out of it. They're telling you it's a psychological disorder. They're telling you people are rubbing fibres in there, reading about it on the internet, so they're getting clothing and they're rubbing fibres in their sores. I mean, this is ridiculous. This is completely ridiculous.
And that's what we need, is people like him.
The way he talks, he's so...
It just rolls out.
Yeah.
I talk about the medicine, he talks about the universe and mankind and life and everything, the way I talk about the medicine.
Like devices, or square devices, hexagonal devices.
Crystals.
Yeah, like metallic. So you've got to wonder, are these nanoparticulates combining to create devices that are growing inside of us? How are we being modified? What's happening to our biology inside us? Is something attaching itself to our DNA and changing us from the inside out? When you look at films such as Transcendent Man by Ray Kurzweil, that I featured largely in Transformation in my latest film, they tell you this is what they're going to do.
Yeah.
They tell you that they want to infuse everything with nanoparticulates. They say soon everything will be infused with nanotechnology. Rocks, trees, plants, everything will be infused with artificial intelligence. And when we go out into the universe, what we'll be doing is we'll be sending out nanoparticulates infused with artificial intelligence that can find and harness new energies so we can expand our consciousness. What they're saying is we're going to turn the human race into the Borg and we're going to go out and assimilate the universe. That's what they're saying.
Exactly.
Okay, so if that's what you're going to do, how are you going to do it? What sort of delivery system could be employed to ensure the most widespread distribution of these nanoparticulates? Chemtrails, of course. You know, these are nanoparticulates. These are so small. These are smaller than cigarette smoke. You know, so you only need stuff like chemtrails. You only need a delivery system that will release an aerosol because these things are tiny. You know, and they're self-replicating. So you've got drones that can go up with solar panels on them. They can stay up for 5 years. They can charge up while they're flying around in the day. They can charge their batteries so they can keep flying around at night. If they're spraying nanoparticulates, well, they've got a tank which contains self-replicating particles.
Yeah.
So they only need to come down when they want to get a new tank of new particles. You know?
It's pretty scary.
And the United States has got up to 3,000 of these drones that it can have in operation at any one time. So you've got up to 3,000 drones flying around the planet, spraying nanoparticulates everywhere. Yeah.
Well, not to mention they could deliver this through the food sources too.
Well, they could deliver it through. I mean, they could deliver it through the food sources, but it wouldn't be as effective as chemtrails. It wouldn't be as effective as spraying, because if you spray it through the air, it gets into the entire ecosystem. It gets into all the plants, the trees, the rocks. It gets into everything. So even if you're growing organic food, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're growing organic food. If the air is full of nanoparticulates, then food's got nanoparticulates in it. It doesn't matter if it's organic. Now, a lot of people, you see these signs in buying, 100% organic, but there's no sign on there saying whether it's GMO or not. You can still grow GMO food organically.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know what I mean? So,
Take something genetically modified and grow it naturally.
well, you know, when you look at it all together, you know, you look at the GM food, it doesn't make a lot of sense. The smart meters doesn't make a lot of sense. The satellite grid, HARP, chemtrails, none of it really makes a lot of sense. But when you consider the possibility that one of the ingredients of the chemtrails is nanoparticulates, then it all makes sense.
Yeah.
It all makes sense. The GMO food, HARP, the smart grid, the satellite grid, all of it, it all makes sense. When you put nanoparticulates and transhumanism on the table, that's the piece of the puzzle that ties it all together.
And denying people the right to heal themselves.
Transhumanism, see? So, like I said, you know, we've got a lot of our higher senses taken away from us. We're only experiencing a really small bandwidth of reality. We're only experiencing a really narrow part of it. There's all this stuff going on outside visible light that we're not experiencing. So what they're doing with transhumanism, because they've locked down all our higher senses and we're not experiencing so much more of reality that we could be, now they're giving us little tastes of it through mobile phones, through the internet, through all this sort of stuff. There's instant communication that we're all capable of already. We should be capable of already, but we're not, because our higher senses are locked down, because our pineal gland's shut down. So now they're giving us these little tastes of it. So we'll embrace transhumanism. They'll introduce this, and people will ask for it to be introduced, because they want that. They want that technology. They want that smart grid. They want to be connected to the rest of the universe, because they don't know that they already are. You know? The analogy I always use is that if you're a worker, you've got to get up and go to work every day, but you drive a Lamborghini, and I want to sell you a Honda, you're not going to buy my Honda. But if I come and steal your Lamborghini, and you've got to get up and go to work every day, then you're going to buy my Honda. And that's what they've done. They've stolen our Lamborghini. They've stolen all of our higher senses and all of our higher faculties. And now they're selling us this cheap digital clunky version. And this is where I often go into when I do the talks and stuff, is I talk about ayahuasca and I talk about DMT, because DMT is the interface. DMT is the interface that your body uses to communicate with reality, to communicate with nature. This is what all the other animals use. This is what they call instinct in wild animals. When a wild animal leaves an area 3 days before a tsunami comes, because they can read the energy field, they know that it's all about to change. How can they do it? They can do it by accessing the tryptophan that exists in all living plant matter through the DMT that's active in their body. Tryptophan is the antenna that the DMT uses to communicate, and that's the interface. And because that isn't active in our body, we can't access the tryptophan and everything. We can't access this antenna in nature, so we can't communicate with nature and communicate with reality the way the rest of reality can. But you get tribal cultures and animals, and they'll all leave the area before a disaster happens. The white people don't, because we're shut down. You know, not just the white people now, the black people, all coloured people. Anybody who's been westernised has been shut down.
We just stand there and wait for the wave to come.
Well, yeah, it's been shut down, and it's through everything. It's through it's through everything, through television, through all things that emit light. The light, even that's flickering, that light. You just don't know it. There's flickering it away. You go to the traffic lights. You get the traffic lights on video. There's stop, go lights, red, green, yellow. Video them. They're flickering.
Yeah.
They're all flickering.
Everything's flickering.
Everything's flickering. And that flicker rate shuts down your corpus callosum. It stops your left and right brain talking to one another. And so you only view the world from a left brain perspective, because all your education is designed at your left brain. So you think about words, you think about reality in words, you think about reality by spelling it. You know, when we talk to each other, we spell the words. When we look at the television, we spell the word television in our head. We look at the word, we spell the word wall, you know. We look at everything, we spell it in our heads when we look at it. Subconsciously, subliminally, we do it. So we're enslaved to the written word. And what's the written word? It's a series of spells. That's why when you go to school, the first thing they teach you to do is they teach you to spell. What are you doing when you're spelling? You're casting spells. You're spelling reality. It's a freaking matrix. You're spelling it. You believe it to be real because you're spelling it. You're casting spells, making it real. Because you're enslaved to the written word. You know?
So all this is magic?
It's all magic. It's all word magic. The whole lot is word magic. This whole reality that we're caught up in is word magic. It's incredible, really.
But some people can feel it and some don't.
Yeah, some people can feel it and some people don't.
More sensitive.
Most people can feel it if they're aware that it's there, but they're educated to believe that it's not there. That's the fairy world, you know. That's they're educated out of all that stuff. Fairies in the garden when you're kids, you know. No, that's all. You know, it's just all rubbish. But it's not.
It's not rubbish.
It's not rubbish. There's a whole other world going on that we don't perceive because we're spelling this one, you know. And everything we do is in language. And even with what we know what we're taught to know. We don't know anymore. You know, knowledge, knowing. That knowing, when you know something. You don't have to be told, you know it. You know what I'm saying? That knowing. That's what knowledge is. Knowledge. Knowing.
This Aristotelic.
You know? but we only know what we're told to know because it's written in this book.
Brainwashing.
So, you know, this book defines me. This book tells me about the Croatian culture. Therefore, to be a Croat, this is what it is to me. I'm so proud of this book. I'm so proud of my history. All that does is keeps you divided from the guys over the border who've got a different book that tells them a different fucking history. They're enslaved to the written word there. And that written word says that you guys are better than those guys on the other side of the fence. Your spot in the world's better than their spot in the world, and if they say differently, then you've got to go kill them. It's fucking ridiculous, you know? But this is the world we live in, because it's the written word. So the written word, I don't even know how we'd come up with that. Why would we come up with the written word? Why would we need it? You know? If we had the connection to the plants and the connection to the earth that we're supposed to have, that I experienced when I was in Peru,
Telepathy and everything else.
why would we need this? Why would we need any of it? Why would we need to start piling stones on top of each other and building stuff? It doesn't make sense. You know, if we had that connection to the earth, we'd be looked after by the earth. Because that's what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be the shepherds of the earth, the shepherds of the planet. And we've been led so far away from that path now that it's mind-boggling. And it's scary. I mean, it's you think, how can we ever get back? How can we ever really free ourselves from this matrix and free ourselves from this system? You know, because the only way we're ever going to do it is to get that connection back. And we are so far from that connection now. It's mind-boggling.
See that other part, Mishek, too, of getting the connection back, like Max is saying, you've got to get the people back on the land to do that. How can you get the people back on the land? You get them growing hemp. Puts them back in touch with reality. So it all really does go hand in hand.
See, people, city dwellers, they don't even want to be part of the land. They don't even want to be connected.
I think the land is dirty.
They want the technology. You know?
Beneath them.
It's insidious what's been done. But really, when you go and look at the, as I was saying before, the loss of shamanistic tradition, this was the biggest threat that they ever faced.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why it's so important for people to reconnect with the plants, reconnect with nature. And it's not just a matter of going out and sitting down by the creek or going to the park and having a picnic with the family. You know, you've got to re-establish your connection with the earth. And it's one of the hardest battles we face, one of the hardest hurdles to overcome, is to get people to even want to do that. You know, that's why I think that's why I said I think everybody should do ayahuasca. I think the whole world. It should be a requirement. It should be a mandatory part of education. You know, all high school students should go and do ayahuasca in the last year of high school.
Yeah, and reading The Emperor Wears No Clothes should be part of higher education too.
Yeah. Fuck catcher in the rye. So it's a huge battle that we face. It really is. But being aware of the battle is half the problem. Being aware of what some of the controlling forces are around you is really half the
Just
battle.
recognizing it, that's right.
Just being aware of it. Being aware that this system exists and it's in place. And transhumanism as well. You know, the age-old question people always ask, if chemtrails were real, why would the elite be spraying themselves? Well, they want transhumanism, but they are not subject to the same vaccination programs and the same GM food and all the stuff that we are. So they set up completely different genetic environments inside their own.
Fish and the foods and the crap that we are.
The nanoparticulates will do what they're programmed to do, but what they're programmed to do, it isn't inconceivable to think that what they're programmed to do will be determined by the genetic environment in which they're in.
Right. It's
Of
just
course.
like a cell.
Of course, it's pretty simple to do. If I was going to do it, that's how I'd do it. So, you know, what else explains everything? Transhumanism is the only thing that explains all of it. And that's the thing, you know, it gets to the point where you just got to throw the cards on the table and let them fall where they may, you know, and that's where they fall. And hey, I'm not saying this is what's going on, but based on my research, this appears to be very likely what's going on. And if I've got something wrong and there's something else that explains it all, hey, I'm all ears. Convince me. You know? But all I can do is look at the dots and see where they connect and go, well, 1 and 1 makes 2. You know? But I'm not going to rule anything out, because we do that. We rule stuff out. We police our own thoughts because we're scared of where they might take us, you know?
Yeah.
But
stay in that box.
Yeah, we're only trained to think within certain parameters, but loosen those parameters up. Because nothing they've told you about history, nothing they've told you about anything is true. So why would what they tell you science is capable of be true? Nothing they've told you has been true.
Yeah.
Nothing, not a word of it. You know? And we only know what we're taught to know. So we only know what's possible because it says in this book what's possible.
Possible.
But really anything is possible. When you look at the measurement problem, you look at how we create matter ourselves by simply observing it. You know, like when an atom when a scientist goes to measure an atom, he can't measure it because the electrons that revolve around the nucleus are infinite. They exist everywhere at once. How can that be? How can they exist everywhere at once? Right, that's a mindfuck in itself. And it isn't until he actually goes to physically measure the atom that all the electrons coalesce to form the atom. So the act of observation creates the atom. So if you tell me that things aren't possible, I beg to differ. I think just about anything's possible. If we can create something by simply observing it, all it would take would for you to believe what you're observing to be there, which is what creates it. It's your belief that it's real. Your belief that this camera stand here makes the camera stand there. You know, if atoms are 99.99999% empty space, which they are, which is 1/10,000th of 1%, 1/10,000th of 1% of an atom is actually matter, and everything is made of atoms. And that means 1/10,000th of 1% of this chair I'm sitting on is actually here. And 1/10,000th of 1% of my body is actually here. It's only here because you perceive it to be here, which makes it here. So anything's possible. Anything is possible. It just depends on what you believe is. When you think about it, like that body that you're in is a biological computer that downloads one frequency from the field that you experience as Piggy.
That's your reality.
Now this is a biological computer tuned to a different frequency that it downloads and I experience as Max. But ultimately, both of them come from the same place. So really, there's only actually one of us here, experiencing reality from 7 billion different perspectives. Right? But it's a collective belief that this is what reality is that creates this reality. That's how come, you know, you can look at the wall and say red wall. Okay, if I create my own reality, how come I see the same red wall that you do? Because we belong to the same consciousness. It's a single consciousness that's experiencing itself as a unique perspective of that consciousness. So that's why you can be a complete individual, but you can be part of the whole as well. Because there is only one of us here, there is only one consciousness, but each frequency of that consciousness is completely unique unto itself. You know, all you really have that makes you different from everybody else is your perspective of reality. You know, because no one else can ever have that. No one else can be you better than you can. That's another thing that we're led away from is our own perfection. But of course you're perfect because no one can be you better than you can. And you is what you're here to experience, obviously, because that's who you are. That's what you're experiencing. So of course it's perfect. It's perfect for you to experience that unique perspective of reality that is you. And what's important is what you do with that time. You know? What's the legacy of you being here? What do you leave behind? What did you do for the world while you were here? Was the world better because you were in it? Did you improve reality by your presence in it? You know? Because all you bring into the world is your perspective, and all you take from the world is your perspective, and all you leave behind is your legacy, what you did with that time. You know? And it's all perfect. It's all perfect for you to discover you, and to be you, and to make the best of what you are. You know, with the unique gifts that you've been given, which is your unique perspective. But you know what I'm saying though? I mean, we've been led away from ourselves, and really that's what we're looking for. All the rabbit holes and all the finger pointing and all the stuff that we do to find out who they are and how we are being controlled. It's all very well, we are being controlled, but we're only being controlled because we don't know who we are. Once we find that, we can't be controlled anymore. They can't control me. They try, but they can't. And even if they do, even if they get this and lock this up for a while, they can't control me.
This is just lock up your mind.
I'm consciousness, and that's always going. Doesn't matter what this is or isn't doing. And it's all breach of trust. I think the whole lot is breach of trust. I think that's the only way we can combat this system is through looking at it as fiduciary trust and dealing with it as a trust agreement, which is what it is. And that's the only way we can deal with government. Yeah, hemp was basically made illegal so that the cotton industry and chemical industries could take over.
Fuel.
You know, Harry Anslinger and DuPont Chemical Company, a bunch of people conspired to ensure that their chemicals were sold and that the cotton industry was brought to prominence. That's basically what made hemp illegal. It's because someone wanted their daughter to marry into some rich company, basically, you know. So
Well, they wanted it gone because of the medicinal aspects too. You know, those drug companies didn't want it around.
well, yeah, I mean, all of that. You know, some of the most pollutive industries on the planet would be out of business if hemp was legal.
Practically all of them.
You wouldn't need a timber industry. You could make the best building materials out of hemp. You wouldn't need a pharmaceutical industry. You wouldn't need a paper industry, fabrics industries, plastics industries. All of these things would be out of business if hemp was legal. All of these things are hugely profitable businesses, and all of them are incidentally related to petroleum. So, yeah.
Well, they say all the waters on this earth now have been polluted by the pharmaceutical industry. You take a water sample, you can find traces of Prozac and all kinds of other shit in it. You know, so
Fluoride. All the oceans are full of fluoride. All the fish have got fluoride.
and mercury.
Traces of fluoride in the fish now. You know, ocean fish, tuna. You know, fluoridated tuna. Great stuff, you know. So, yeah, we're doing a massive amount of damage to the environment by supporting this corporate system. See, we've got a corporate system that's designed to always support an economic model which puts profits before people.
Yeah.
And so the bottom line with everything is about economic growth. And you can't have permanent economic growth on a planet with finite resources because you end up with what we've got.
Yeah.
You know?
You're gonna run out.
But, you know, again, I mean, it's us. We support it. Because we don't understand that our governments are simply public trustees. We don't have to do what they say. They have to do what we say. But we don't know how to exercise that power. We petition them. We try to approach them within the legal parameters that they construct. We don't ever approach it from a position of fiduciary trust, which is what we should do. Once we realise that's all they are, they're just public trustees, and that our relationship with them is fiduciary trust, that's where the remedy is. That's the only place the remedy could possibly be. Step back to realise who we are and what we are, you know. Humanity's just lost so much of their power by their lack of knowledge of their own perfection. Even under the legal system that enslaves us, the legal system that our governments put in place, if you look at them, all Western governments, all across Europe, everywhere, it's all based on ecclesiastical law. It's all based on the biblical system, the legal system that came out of the Vatican. Roman law. Rome rules the world, folks. The Jewish system, the Zionist system, that all came out of Rome. It all came out of Rome. What calendar does the world use? Roman calendar. Who rules the world? Rome rules the world. All roads lead to Rome. The Roman system is the same system that came out of Babylon. It's the same system that's been in place for years. But looking at the legal system that all of our governments use, it's all based on the Roman ecclesiastic system. So it's all biblical law. So it says in their Bible, page 2, God created man. He had man dominion over the earth. That's who you all are. You're man. You have dominion over the earth. Man created society. Society created government. Government created statute law. Statute law. It's just legislation. It's just politicians imposing their will over natural law. and removing natural law from existence and superimposing their will over it. That's all it is. But they only get the power to do that because we elect them into positions of trust, where they're not supposed to do that. But they get away with it because we don't realise that's what our relationship with them is. It's trust. It's a trust agreement. They're just people. They're just man given dominion over the earth, same as you, same as me, same as everybody else. They're no better than us. You know, we elect them into positions of trusteeship. We are the grantors of that trust to these people, and we are the beneficiaries of that trust. It's a trust agreement. You know, if you're enacting legislation which is going to put me in a state of hardship through power that I give you, then you're in breach of trust. It's that simple. It's that simple. But I can only do that for me. I can't do it for you. You've got to realise that that's what your relationship with them is as well. And you've got to be prepared to stand up and do the same thing. And the whole country has to stand up and do the same thing. Say, hey, you guys are in breach of trust. Exhibit A, the Earth. Look at the place. Look at the state of this planet. So, you know, we can point our finger at the Rothschilds, we can point our finger at the banking system, we can point our finger at the governments, all we like. But until we realise who and what we are and realise the power that we have to hold these people accountable for their actions that they do, we're never going to get anywhere. We're never going to get anywhere if we start operating, you know, they tell me I've got to fill out these forms and I've got to do this and I've got to go and wait in line, I've got to do this and tick the right boxes. This is all the stuff that they give you to do. Well, let's deal with all this later. Let's first discuss the trust agreement, which gives you the ability to even put all this red tape in front of me, which prevents me from holding you accountable for your actions. We'll deal with that later. How do you get the power to even make me fill out these forms? Only through me, only through the power that I give you. So let's look at this trust agreement, because I'm calling breach of trust. I'm calling breach of trust, and if you can prove to me that you are not in breach of trust, then I'll go through all your legal parameters. But at the moment, I'm just man talking to another man, and I'm calling you on breach of trust. You know, I'm calling you on breach of trust. So we'll deal with all your legal stuff later. Because the trust agreement's the only thing that even gives you the right to be able to call me in here, so that I'm even talking to you, is through this trust agreement. The power that you're granted through this trust agreement. So that's the way it's got to be looked at. You know what I'm saying? This is the way it all has to be looked at. But that takes a lot of courage for a lot of people, because see, the whole solution to it all, it comes down to self-responsibility. That's the thing. That's what freedom is. Freedom is self-responsibility. Freedom is the freedom and the responsibility for yourself and the responsibility for your own actions that would cause you to get up and say that to a politician, or say that to the commissioner of police, or say that to a judge or a lawyer. You know, I am 100% responsible for myself. I am 100% responsible for everything I say and do. And I don't want anyone having liability for my actions. I don't want the state having liability for my actions. You know, I'll call you on anything you want to throw at me. If you claim me you've got jurisdiction over me, show me proof of claim in any of it. And see, it's self-responsibility. That's why we never fix anything, because people don't want to be responsible. You know, we just want to point the finger. We want to start a movement and have banners and march down the street and shake our fist at the big nasty corporation. But then we'll still go home and we'll just do what we do. You know, we'll go home and we'll never really take responsibility for ourselves. We'll never take responsibility for our own lives. We'll never take responsibility for their actions of our public trustees. But we'll feel like we've done something because we went and shook our fist at the big nasty corporation.
I mean, last year when I was in Apatia, there was, well, 3 or 4 dozen people, I guess, 40, 50 people really come at me. But this year, it was just like hundreds. Everybody had a question. And if you weren't on the stage, they would follow you wherever you went and then question you there. So, I understand, but if they would just simply listen to what I'm saying when I'm on the stage, I don't care what disease you have, take the oil. There's just a basic, simple way of taking it.
So a lot of them came to ask you about What? Can I cure this? Can I cure this?
I mean, they can't get by that. You know, I call it a cure-all. Well, yeah, it'll work on anything is wrong with you. It'll help you, but they can't seem to accept it. You know, they want the question, and then they want the answers. I give it to them.